For me, it's about integrity, dedication, and leading by example. Nothing was ever achieved without hard work.
You have to have knowledge and inspiration in equal measures. I have to be precise, but be prepared to experiment.
For me, it's about respecting the individual and improving communities. Putting myself in their shoes to deliver the best possible outcomes.
It allows me to be creative in an area that I'm passionate about, seeking the facts and providing insight.
When I first started running, I had all kinds of problems to overcome. I had to work hard to teach myself never to give up. Of course, I need focus and dedication, the ability to set a target and work towards it. Little by little, you reach your goal.
When I'm baking, I'm intrigued by having a problem to solve. The key values that cross over between baking and work are innovation, dedication, and the ability to connect with others. What fascinates me most is how food can bring people together.
For me, it all starts with curiosity. I seek knowledge, then act to provide answers and support. In human rights advocacy, you can't act alone. You need to build a team to help you achieve your goals.
I'm a perfectionist. It's about finding the perfect cup of coffee and learning about what makes it so. And then it's about taking all the information and insight and presenting it to people in a helpful way that is useful for them.
Welcome to Otta Plus. We are the leading equity crowdfunding platform in Malaysia. We assist entrepreneurs with their fundraising efforts by connecting them to investors. Now, anyone can fund your startup. Scan the QR code to work with us. We look forward to hearing from you soon. Thank you and have a wonderful day ahead.
Before she started Eden in Taiwan, she asked herself this question: is it possible for a disabled to experience paradise in a world of indifference? And to her, the answer is yes, it's possible with God. And I share that same aspiration as her, that I know that with God, nothing is impossible for the disabled. So he and his wife, me and my wife Madeleine, so 4 of us, we started this work. And that was in the year 1991.
After 18 years old, they have nowhere to go. So parents send to us, where should the child go? So what we do is we open up this shelter workshop. Over here, we provide training. Training in the sense that basic skill. When they involve in this subcontract work, we are actually giving them a therapy. Therapy in the sense of physical therapy and mental therapy, a mental aspect. So one of it, a company approached us and said, hey, you have any person can do cleaning service. Oh, so this is an opportunity. So we send our staff for training first. The day when you see them, wow, they're able to do something. They're able to be leaders with the other disabled, you know? Or they're able to perform certain things beyond expectation. That is the greatest achievement.
好像你有一大笔钱的话啦，你也不会高兴。但是看在他们生命的那种改变啊，哇，真的很难忘，然后又很感动。我的感受就是说，我每天的话都是在上课，因为我有一班的好老师。我们的生活突然之间的改变，或者是情形我们的肢体方面有一点缺陷，还是说忽然之间我们失去哪一个部分，那我们就觉得这一生已经完了。其实坦白讲的话呢，我相信上天在我们身上哪一个部位去，就是说他一定会开路给我们。
When we first started Eden, parents asked me, their greatest worry is when they die, who is going to take care of my child? That is one of their greatest worries. So I'm also working towards that goal. And in my many years of working with people with disabilities, I have come to acknowledge that the disability is not the big problem. It's the attitude and the character that is the major problem.
I myself disabled. And today I excel myself because I told myself, nothing is impossible for me. If normal people can do, I also can do, you know. So I want to use my life to serve disabled back, to help them to be independent. We have about 77 workers, but all the 77 workers, 60% are intellectually disabled. So all comes about 90,000 and solely on public donation. So I would say that the public helps us a lot. You know, I should be thankful, appreciative to sponsors, to donors who have confidence in us, that you know they supported us this week. You know. What the disabled wants is an opportunity, not a sympathy. Give them a chance in life.
A very good afternoon to everyone and welcome back. My name is Wani and I am your MC for the day. A quick recap on the house rules of the conference are: the access link to the webinar is unique to only one person and it should not be forwarded or shared with anyone else. Close all apps, browsers, and emails to minimize your internet bandwidth. Participants' microphone will be muted to minimize disruption to the audio quality. For members of MIE who wish to obtain e-certificate and CPE credit hours, participants are responsible to log in at least 80% of the entire program answer the self-assessment at the end of the program, participate in Q&A session, complete the feedback form. For members of BOVAEA who wish to obtain e-certificate and CPD credit hours, participants are responsible to ensure to provide full name and IC number in the Google form, answer the self-assessment at the end of the program, participate in Q&A session, and complete the feedback form. No part of the e-material may be reproduced in any form, stored in a retrieval system, transmitted by any means, electronically or mechanically, photocopied or recorded without the prior permission of the author or the company. Without further ado, we shall now move into our fourth roundtable discussion. Moving into 2022, the opportunities in East Malaysia. We are honored to have Datuk Sri Chua Soon Ping from Sabah Housing and Real Estate Developers Association, Syarikat. Mr. Dominic Su, Datuk Sri Chua Soon Ping being a chartered quantity surveyor turned property developer after obtaining his master's degree in property development. He is currently the president of Sabah Real Estate Housing Developers Association, Syarikat. His forward-thinking mindset is embodied with both architectural design, spirit of lifestyle concept based on renewable energy and sustainable development. Next, we have Mr. Dominic Su, who is the Executive Chairman and CEO of Regal Group, with over 25 years of work experience in the construction and property development business. Mr. Dominic is involved in all key aspects of the group's operation, including setting corporate direction and strategic business development. He is also the chairman of SMM2H Committee in Shida and chairman of Commercial Affairs Committee in Kuching Chinese General Chamber of Commerce. And this session will be moderated by Mr. Vincent Fong. As the pioneer of investment migration in Southeast Asia, Mr. Vincent Fong founded the International Alliance of Resident by Investment and MM2H Club, the premier community for thousands of investors who chose Malaysia as their preferred destination of investment migration. Mr. Vincent, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Ms. Wani, for the detailed introduction of all the speakers. I'm honored today to be with two of the most prominent business and community leaders from the East Malaysia. So thank you, Dato' Chua, for allocating this hour for us to actually understand more about Sabah. Even I know that you have a lot of things to handle. Even last night, I was told that you work until midnight, or even past midnight. Thank you, Dato' Chua. Sorry, you have to unmute yourself first.
Our pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Vincent.
And of course, we have Dominic, who is also a representative from SHEDA, the Sarawak Real Estate Association, Developers Association. So how are you, Dominic?
I'm fine, thank you.
Okay, Dominic, it's a pleasure to meet you in Sarawak last month. Okay, and I understand that Sarawak has a lot of excitement recently, especially I understand that the state is going to an elections pretty soon.
Yes, we are expecting the election, I think, either end of this month or in December. And Vincent is honored to host you when you come here 2 weeks ago.
Okay, thank you. So without further ado, let me go into today's sessions. Why is it East Malaysia? Last year, when we had the sessions of this annual tax symposium, we only talk about property in the whole Malaysia. But this year, we break it into West Malaysia and East Malaysia. Okay, I think being a West Malaysian myself, okay, I have observed over the past 2 years that the East Malaysian states are on the rise. Okay, even though it's during the pandemic period. I visited Sabah right after the late 2020. Then I visited Sarawak again. Why is that so that I mentioned that? It's because, first of all, I can see that the state government are actually having bigger and bigger budget along the years. You have more money to spend. Okay, you have more infrastructure being constructed. So at the same time, we also have very proactive public and private collaborations, okay, or PPP partnerships, especially between Syarikat and Sabah state government, as well as Sheda with the Sarawak state government. So we'd like to actually hear more about what opportunities it brings to every Malaysian, not just East Malaysia, including those from West Malaysia, as well as for foreigners, because we have a lot of these foreign investors who are interested to see in the whole Malaysia, what are the options they have. Okay, so for a start, I would like to say these sessions will be in 3 parts, mainly. First of all, we are going to introduce a bit of a background, because I understand that even for West Malaysian, sometimes we do not understand East Malaysia that much. Then after that, it will be the current situations. What is the current economic situation? How COVID affect everyone? And then what is to be looked forward to? Okay, so Dr. Chua, I will actually like to seek your input on that. Sabah, everyone thought that it's actually just about tourism. Okay, even West Malaysian travel there for beautiful beaches or snorkeling and other things. But what is actually the main economy of Sabah?
Actually, if you look at the slide, I'd like to share with you the opportunity in East Malaysia, especially for Sabah, apart from tourism that we have is assets. Because if you add Sabah and Sarawak together, we form 59% of the land sizes in Malaysia. So we can see the sizes. So basic land, basically Sabah has its own land ordinance. So if it's land-based, you talk about plantation, you talk about forestry, you talk about, we have our own legislations on land. So these are the opportunity in Sabah. If you talk about land, of course, you mentioned about land properties. This one we elaborate later. But we touch on tourism. We talk about tourism first. Okay, so next slide on tourism. Okay, never mind. We talk about the GDP. Basically, that in billions, the mining, quarrying, all this is I will tell about. Most of them are oil and gas. You can see the Sabah, later I show the map, the statistic. Sabah, oil and gas and Sarawak add together form more than 50% of it. But anyway, I will show the agriculture first. You see planting, whether it's palm oil, whether it's rather reforestry, but oil palm is still the majority of it. Okay. Then you can see the oil palm industry in Malaysia. You look at Peninsula Malaysia, 47. And then you look at Sabah, 26%. Sarawak, 27%. So we form 53% of the whole Malaysia in terms of plantation for oil palm. And look at CPO production, because of this CPO refining factory more in West Malaysia, but we form 45% of it. Okay, if you're looking at that. But now because the pricing is much better, 10 years ago, we talk about maybe another boom. Now, 10 years later, we talk another boom. If in terms of revenue for the small planter, they talk about 9,006, 9,007 per ton. Okay, but on the CPO production, they talk about 5,003 to 5,005 per ton. But because of the recent budget, there's an introduction of levy. Can I touch on that, Vincent? Or you want me
please,
to?
Because
okay.
I think we are all thinking that Sabah and Sarawak is making all these oil palm plantation owner are making tons of money now.
Okay,
is that correct?
Indeed, is making tons of money. 10 years ago, make tons of money. Now with the price of 9,000, 6,007 for the small holder is making tons of money. But there's a levy, that imposed recently by this budget is 1.5 increase to 3%. And on top of that, Sabah imposed, state government imposed what we call the levy. The levy is equivalent to a sales tax, is 7.5%, whereas Sarawak is only 5%. And then you look at Peninsula Malaysia, there's no state sales tax on their states. So on top of that, so this is actually on and above the 3%. We have to pay 7.5% to the state. Sarawak had to pay that 5%. But last year, the levy that the revenue that state government are collecting is 800 million. Now this year projected to 1 billion. So there's a lot of money the state rely on this on sales tax. Okay.
I see. So can we touch a bit on this point? Because I'd like to hear the input from Dr. Dominic.
Yes.
Because I can see here that the state levy, or the state sales tax is actually lower for Sarawak, although both Sabah and Sarawak also charge the state sales tax. But from what Dr. Chua just shared, the levy imposed by the federal government has increased from 1.5% to 3%. Is that right? Yeah. So, Mr. Dominic, what is your take on this?
Okay, Vincent, my thought is this: it will be better that this extra tax levy should be waived for Sarawak, because we actually, of course, the higher oil palm prices is a very good thing to Sarawak. And thanks to all the efforts to promote oil palm overseas, which culminate in these higher oil palm prices. But in Sarawak now, we are facing severe labor shortage to harvest the oil palm. Okay, so there is one factor. So even though the price has gone up, not necessarily means the overall harvest is more. Another reason is logistic cost has gone up also. Okay, so overall effect, of course, the farmers now can get better use from their oil palm farming, but then the cost has also gone up. And also, as I said just now, the labor shortage. Okay, so on this basis, I hope this extra levy, windfall tax, whatever, can be waived for Sarawak.
If Sabah wants it waived, I presume Sabah also
I think Sabah also want to get it because logistic-wise and fertilizer has gone up so much.
Yes.
So in that case, the planter over in KL, they do not have any sales tax on 5% or 7.5. So that will actually suffer. Yeah. For Sabah, actually, I heard that their association, planting association, they are actually moving forward. They're writing to federal for the waive for both Sabah and Sarawak because of the state also charging them on the sales tax 5 and 7.5%.
Dr. Chua, being the president for Sabah, these are real estate and developer associations, okay, do you see a lot of what is the difference in terms of the interest by all these oil palm plantations owners or these related businesses? Are they affected by the announcement by the federal government to increase the levy in terms of buying interest for property?
Yeah, 10 years ago, we have a small boom in West Coast, in Sabah, on properties. Because 10 years ago, the oil price shot up a lot. So that this smallholder, small and medium, when I say small and medium, it's not necessarily just 10 acres, 1,000 also small and medium, Okay. These are actually people that in the East Coast, Sandakan, Ladatu, Kunat, and Tawau. Most of the plantation are in the East Coast. West Coast we have, but not as much as in East Coast. East Coast, the soil are very fertile. Okay. Now, and then when they do it 10 years ago, they attract a lot of reinvestment. In other words, they are the planter in this Kinabataan in Sandakan, they planter in Tawau. They move their money because of the increase of the of the palm oil. They move their money to West Coast. In other, in Kota Kinabalu, which is a capital city of Sabah, they buy up a lot of properties, not one shop, buy the whole row. Okay, so by virtue of that, they invest a lot of property investment in KK, in terms of shop houses, in terms of 2 or 3 units of high-rise condo or some landed. So they spur a lot of small boom, little boom in Sabah, whereby self-consumption, East Coast buying because of the increase in price in palm oil. 10 years later, today, their price shoot up again, East Coast. Okay, now they're starting to buy, but not as aggressively as 10 years back because of this levy. Whatever it is a levy, they need to observe whether this budget, that the announcement by federal, whether it would be waived or not. They are very cautious on the reinvestment sectors. So they are not just simply buying, they look at location, they look at the property return on investment, they look at all factors, or whether this is what they want, and all the factors. Because being a capital in Sabah, later I show you the map that actually there are a lot, the KK is the second busiest airport in the whole Malaysia. There are a lot of direct flight to many countries. I show the map later. And then this will actually, as a gateway for those East Coast people to come and invest either in their home, or they can actually lease it out to expatriate. So this is the moment, I think, if they, federal government start to levy, to waive the levy for Sabah, Sarawak, I think there are a lot of investment coming to West Coast, same as I think Sarawak as well. Okay, they will be the planter coming over to Kuching and reinvest on the property sectors. Okay,
Mr. Dominic, do you mind sharing on Sarawak perspective of this?
Okay. For my personal view, I do not see any surge in properties demand in relation to this surge in commodity prices, especially oil palm prices. Perhaps it's due to the same reason as what Dr. Chua has mentioned. Okay, so even though the oil palm prices has gone up, but then overall production may not have gone up because due to labor shortage, and as I say just now, as what Dr. Chua has concurred, higher cost of production and also higher logistic costs. All right, and perhaps this consideration of extra tax, right, applicables could be a dampeners to a surge in properties demand. That is I will concur with Dr. Chua on this.
Okay, let me just go into a bit of the background issue informations. Okay, after that, I'll let Dr. Chua continue with his presentation. For those of you who are not familiar, okay, Sabah and Sarawak, okay, they are, in the past few years, actually, they fared pretty well in terms of the economic growth. Okay, like Sabah, at one stage, it was almost like 8% growth in 2017. Whereas in last year, Sarawak only contract less than 7%. Okay, so in the context of COVID, I think this is actually quite good. I mean, they fared quite well. One of the reasons is actually you can see from the state budget. Okay, the Sabah state government budget has increased from 3.8 billion to 5.2 billion for 2022. Whereas Sarawak has increased almost double, from 5.3 billion to 10 over billion. Okay, what is the main driver of this increase in income? I'm sure that a lot of you will know the answer, but I would like to hear a bit from Mr. Dr. Chua, because you mentioned about oil palm, but the state government derived the income not just from oil palm, right?
Yeah. If you can, I'll show you the graph. Then basically that would the income for the state revenue. Then we can perhaps talk about Sarawak. We talk about Sabah first. Is it okay?
Sure.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'll
sure.
show you the Lim. No, the income just now. This is tourism. Okay. If you can see the oil and gas, the oil and gas basically, if I give it the whole scenario, although they actually put down mining and quarry, basically oil and gas is under mining as well. You will get the production, crude oil is 40%, and then natural gas is 50%, others is 10%. So basically the crude oil and natural gas are put under mining. And then you look at the productions, Sabah, Sarawak, and add up is 52%, where the offshore is 44%. Offshore means that offshore in Terengganu, offshore in Sarawak, offshore in Labuan and Sabah, and the East Coast in Tawau. These are four under offshore. Most of the offshore production are actually in the East Malaysia. whether it's Sabah or Sarawak, it's actually along there. But West Malaysia is only concentrate on the Terengganu, a small part of it. Then you can see the productions in value. A lot are actually from Sabah, Sarawak, you know. But unfortunately, the allocation for Sabah, Sarawak is, they say peanut, 5.2 billion, 4.6 billion for Sarawak against 232 million. So never mind, that's politics set aside. We just want to show you what has been in store for these productions. Okay.
So basically, besides the increase in prices of oil palm, both Sabah and Sarawak has benefited from the sky high. I mean, the oil and gas prices. I mean, Brent crude is almost 83 now, US dollars, and then most of the production is in Sabah or Sarawak, even including those offshore, right? Yeah. So that is the reason why it has increased so much. Do you see a lot of buying interest from this style of professional working in this area?
For the sharing between Petronas and Sabah, we get about 5%. And then same in Sarawak at 5%. But on top of that, we have the petroleum tax. We get 5%. And then Sarawak get 5%. But I think Sarawak, last year, they got more than 5 billion from the 5% petroleum tax. We have about 1.2 billion. So basically, they actually produce a lot in terms of downstream petroleum products. So this is the additional revenue. So I think overall, oil and gas plantation, there's an opportunity in Sabah and Sarawak. All I can say, because those are the producing income for both states.
Okay. How about investor? Do you see more property investor coming from oil and gas sector into the property market in Sabah?
Oil and gas, basically, they are very specific because at the moment they search to 80 ringgit. They used to be below 40 ringgit. So this is an industry that, like you say, a lot of people going renewable energy. Maybe later Dominic would talk about the Bakun Dam or not. But I think the resources is drying up throughout the world. Whether that renewable energy will affect the oil price or not, I think not. Now, honestly speaking, because we are living in one earth, not 10 earth. The resources, when it use up, the price will actually push. Okay. But fortunately, because we have typical vehicle, we have solar energy, we have renewable energy, very fortunate we have all this. Okay. So maybe, you know, Dominic can talk about his renewable energy.
Dominic, do you see a lot of interest? I mean, because of this energy sector, be it renewable or the fossil fuel?
Okay, before I talk about renewable energy, maybe I would like to talk about the increase of income as in Sarawak budget. Okay, I concur with Dr. Chua. The increase of income, as far as I know, is mainly due to sales tax that was imposed on petroleum, oil and gas in Sarawak. So for last year, our income, I mean our state income increased a lot. It's mainly due to this sales tax on oil and gas, as what Dr. Chua has mentioned just now. Okay. Looking forward, all right, suddenly you can see that there is increasingly a trend of decarbonization of the world. So people are talking of using less fossil fuel. I think recently Bill Gates actually mentioned in 30 years' time, all the oil and gas company will be worthless, right? Unless they adopt to new changes. Okay. So I'm not an expert in this field, right? But I will share with you what I know of this, what are the changing and the exciting things that are happening in this field. I think everybody's now we have a new hero, techpreneur in Elon Musk. So he is now the richest person in the world, you know, because of what? Electric car, right? The richest person in Hong Kong now is no more Lee Ka-sing, you know. Dr. Chua, no more property man, you know, no more, right? It's a guy who made batteries.
Oh.
So yes, it's a guy who made batteries. So now there is not increasingly, especially happening in US and China, especially China, an increasing trend of people turning to electric cars. Okay? And China, the sale of electric cars has gone up more than double in last year. And they expect the growth to be even more this year. Okay, and actually the Toyota sale price has dropped. Toyota, the #1 fossil fuel automobile makers in the world, the sale price keep dropping. While Elon Musk and other Chinese car maker like BYD and so on, the prices keep going up. All-time high. Right, and recently, I think in US, a new car maker coming out, and he said he's making electric car. Immediately, his company worth, I think, more than 2 digits billions, immediately. And that company have made 1,000 car only. So this is the trend. Okay, so coming back on this, this is on the electric car, more automobile sector, and automobile and transport and vehicles is one of the biggest consumption of fossil fuel. All right, and then on energy sector, in China, they are increasingly talking about new way of energy, renewable energy, as Dr. Chua has said just now. Okay, so this is the trend. This is what is happening. Of course, Sarawak government is seeing this, and our government is also talking about renewable energy. Our government is planning to get involved in hydrogen, a new form of energy in hydrogen. All right, we will be the first in Southeast Asia talking about this and coming up with some planning to execute this. Under our State Economic Development Corporation, we have a plan to make Bintulu a hydrogen center as well as a petrochemical center. Right? So hand in hand, our state government and our State Economic Development Corporation is looking at this direction. Okay. And then coming back to where I am doing now, I'm a property man, right? All right. Personally, I do not feel that the big jump in petrol prices from at one time is almost $0, right?
Negative at one stage.
At one time,
yes.
that is in future price. Oil future price went down to $0. Okay, now it's $80 and more. And people now talking about two theories, $120 and $200. People are talking about that now. Okay, but then I personally, I haven't felt that these higher oil and gas prices has translated into demands for more properties in Sarawak. This is my personal feeling. Not even in Bintulu, but there is good signs coming. They are increasing more investment going into Bintulu. All right, our oil and gas center and our petrochemical center. Perhaps maybe next year or next 2 years, with this increase in investment in petrochemicals production facilities in Bintulu, as well as the renewable energy initiative by our state government and by our State Economic Development Corporations, it will be translated into more business for me, Dr. Chua, for properties men like us. So we can catch up. So, right.
We have to learn from you.
Yeah. trying.
I have to learn from both of you. But the reason why we raise these two things is because we always thought that Sabah and Sarawak is so rich in natural resources, okay, including this oil and gas, as well as agriculture and palm oil, that in this era of hyperinflation, that you stand to benefit the most among all Malaysian states. Okay, so, now I understand that, yes, I think the state government has collected more revenue, but those business owners or the stakeholders in this industry are still a bit cautious, right? Because everyone is still thinking that future may be uncertain. But one thing for certain, what I understand, is that Sarawak has one of the lowest electricity prices, especially for industry.
Yes.
Okay. So this is, I believe, thanks to a lot of the effort been put into renewable energy, even ever since the 90s. You had the world famous hydroelectric dam, okay, namely Bakun Dam. So Sabah is how's the electricity supply situation in Sabah at the moment, Dr. Chua?
Yeah, actually, we are meeting the SCSP on next Monday. We'll talk about maybe they try to invite us. I have a feeling they want to increase their rate.
I see.
Yeah, they're actually inviting people to have dialogue, and I have a bad feeling that they're going to increase the price. Okay.
I see.
So the other thing is just I got bad news also from the public saying that there is an increase of almost 15-20% of the CIS cement is the only plant doing cement. They increased by I think 15-20%. Okay.
Wow.
So
everything is increasing in prices.
By 20th of November, which is tomorrow, they increase the price. So
Mr. Chua,
yeah.
You are talking about CMS?
No, our CIS cement.
Oh, okay.
Sabah.
Okay.
They increased by 15-20%. So in that case, it will increase the ready-mix concrete, because ready-mix concrete and the cement form the part of the big component in property. Okay, so if they increase, I don't know how to adjust the price, because developer always adjust the price according to the cost, then transfer this cost to the buyers. So in effect, the property price will not drop. One thing is. Second is, it's very difficult to do affordable houses because the government is going for those B40, 4,000 below, 4,008 below. So developer is very reluctant to tangle with the affordable houses because all the prices went up. Copper wire go up by 30%, reinforcement go up by 20%, now cement go up another 15%, plastering to increase, all these things. And the diesel going up, the logistic is going up, the sand excavation is going up. All these are actually coupled with the inflation and whatnot, especially dampen the pricing in the whole development cost, because building cost is part of development cost. So I don't know, our politicians keep on asking our Syarikat to keep your price low so that our people that earning lower salary like B40, 4,008 below, were able to afford to buy a house. Even though the government are actually through this budget 22, they are giving guarantee 2 billion, I heard, to all these people that gig worker and whatnot for B40, so that they're able to finance their loan. Because when the banks are approaching them to look at their record, they are very difficult to get loan. So with this guarantee coming in, even their daily wages or even their salary cannot afford their daily expenses. So how do they afford the houses? Even rental they cannot fulfill, not to say buying houses. So these are actually dampen the budget 22 because that is for Sabah concern. When the CIS cement went up, so I think it triggered all the whole development cost of the industries.
Yeah. It's a trickling effect, for which you will
multiply
just
effect
into higher housing price, right?
Yeah, multiply effect. You cannot run away because if it's actually about high rise building, 50% of cost go to structures. You need cement, you need sand, you need aggregate, you need reinforcement bar. Reinforcement already increased by 20-25%. Now cement increased 15-20%. Ready mix increased another 10-15%. All the prices went up. So a lot of people are saying that post pandemic, whether they can wait and see for the price to drop, then they go and buy. Sorry, my friends, you're the wrong end of the cycle. Basically, I don't think the price, unless it's for those completed projects that wanted maybe, I don't know, project overhang or even abandonment, those actually you get cheaper houses or auctions. But I think for the new development, no way the price will come down. Okay, that is my observation.
I see. So, Mr. Dominic, is that the same case in developers in Sarawak? I mean, of course, I heard from West Malaysia, they're all saying that the raw material prices are increasing like hell. So is that the case?
I concur with Dr. Chua 100% on this, okay? Inflation is our biggest enemy now to all personnel involved in construction or in properties development. As a property man, our biggest enemy now is inflation, okay? And then also, of course, labor shortage, all right? As Dr. Chua just now mentioned, the bad news that the cement price it go up by 15%. For me, it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare, okay? That will definitely translate into higher property prices, higher property costs to complete any type of buildings, be it low cost, medium cost, or high cost. It's just price go higher. As Dr. Chua has said, most of the commodity prices has gone up so much. Some is like double, right? Over this pandemic. Our pandemic yet to finish, but over this period, a lot of commodity prices has gone beyond belief, right? And on top of that, we have a labor price shoot up, all right? We also have labor price shoot up, okay? So this almond together a very bad signal to a properties market. As for now, personally, I do not observe a growth in net income for our potential house buyer in Sarawak, okay? And there is no growth in eligibility of house buyer in terms of the ability to borrow more, okay? That income stream, as my personal view, is stagnant, okay? So any more inflation from cement price, because we basically here in Sarawak, we only have one cement manufacturer, all right? Okay, currently we actually have some unease in cement supply. In certain area, I would say shortage of cement supply. Okay, so if there is any form of inflation, it will be very, very bad news. Okay, currently our properties market in a way is, I would say, is just recover to sort of like stabilized stage. But then we are facing, as I say, our biggest enemy in inflation and labor shortage. So any other bad news is just not good.
Yeah. Okay, so having covered that, now we understand the backgrounds, factors that will affect the economy and even the property markets in East Malaysia. But as I mentioned right from the start, we always thought that Sabah is a tourist paradise. Yeah. And being in the pandemic, as severe as what we're having now, stop all the international travels, it actually affects tourism the most, okay, among all industries. Then oil and gas, I believe that a lot of professionals are foreigners as well. Yes. Okay, so to entice them to consume in Malaysia or to invest in Malaysia will require them to be in Malaysia as well for some of these oil and gas. So perhaps I'll let Dr. Chua give us some insights about how Sabah actually fare, or what is the current situation in Sabah tourism. I'm sure that there are still plenty of good attractions. Yeah. Perhaps you want to share a bit on that, Dr. Chua?
Okay, thank you, Vincent. Actually, if you look at 2 years ago, when Sabah Tourism Board, they're actually going to very aggressive overseas, even go to European, Northern Europe as well, to promote Sabah tourism, to put a map in Western, not only China. So because if we want to follow 2019, then Malaysia on the whole open to the skies, that will actually encourage a lot of direct flight coming in. So bring a lot of tourists coming in. I don't think it will actually reopen this year. Maybe it will take another 6 months or so to open up the sky fully so that they can come over. It allowed me to share with you that 2019, what happened. Then at least you can get some of the okay. Sabah land below the wind. Why it land below the wind? Because it's, we are actually away from all these thunderstorms and whatnot. Okay. Now allow me to share the next slide. You see, we have a lot of Sabah direct flight, as I mentioned to you, from Japan, northern part, from China. There are so many cities we travel direct from China, from Chengdu to Shanghai to Guangzhou and Shenzhen. Shenzhen is the nearest. And then from Hong Kong and Macau, okay, Korea as well. And then we also get it from, direct, a lot of flight from Kuala Lumpur, Singapore, and perhaps Indonesia. So all these flights are direct going into Kota Kinabalu. So KKIA becomes the second busiest airport in Malaysia. Okay, apart from the KLIA, we call it also KKIA. And this actually formed the direct tourists coming to KK alone. Next. So what are the attractions that people like to visit? The most popular that if you are the divers, you go to Pulau Sipatan. If you like to go to sea resort, it's Pulau Mabu or this other. It's just a mushroom going down to 1,000 to 2,000 feet. And also Mat Saleh like to go to interior like Tenan Valley. It's untouched jungle, okay? Primary forest. They look at it. It's just like you go up to the bridge. Later I'll show you. It's just like another safari. And then you have in Sam Sandakan, you have Sipiluk Orang Hutan Sanctuary, which also attract a lot of foreigners who come over. And we have Rana, we have Mount Kinabalu. Later I show a separate picture for you to see, a tip of Borneo. And then we have sunset and along the river or Padas River, we have the white water rafting. Okay, next. We have the world top 3 most beautiful sunset in Tanjung Aru. It's only about 5 minutes from the city drive. It's really beautiful. And there's a Star Hotel is one of them just right next to it. And then I have mentioned there will be Pulau Sipatan. There are so many natural fish around the coral. And then Pulau Sipatan is direct going down to 1,000 feet. Okay, so these are the pictures that showing the clarity of the water. This is actually in Ranau. Mount Kinabalu is one of the highest Southeast Asia highest altitude mountain at 4,000 meter high. Okay, we have the world largest flower called Rafflesia. We have along the Sri Batas River, Kuru, and in that Batas River, we have this category 4, maximum 5. We are actually offering category 4. It's good for the family. Mentioned before is Pilok in Sandakan. And Tenan Valley, you can actually walk across this suspended bridge. You can see a lot of animals down there at night and daytime. It's just a safari overlooking the animals in their daily life. Sabah welcomes you. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Chua, for a very quick introduction about the Sabah tourism. Why we mention all these things? The tourism, oil and gas, oil palm, because these are the main contributor to economy in East Malaysia. And if, for example, of tourism, we have suffered so much. Okay, if there's a post-pandemic period in 2022, which are the sector that will bounce back the most? For me, I would love to bring my family for a holiday in Sabah or even in Sarawak. So Mr. Dominic, do you want to share a bit about what Sarawak can offer? After all, you are also in the same Borneo Island. You should have a lot of attraction as well, right?
Certainly. Okay. Of course, I like to go to KK. KK is a very nice place. And Sabah have a lot of beautiful beaches, all right? But we have a lot of good things in Sarawak as well, all right? Let's go through the slide, okay? Sarawak, in terms of land mass, is almost as big as West Malaysia. And our population is only 2.8 million people. So when such a big country with so little people, so few people, it means we have a lot of interesting places yet to be discovered. And actually, over the pandemic, I personally has found a lot of new places which I myself never been to. And then it's a eye-opening. Come to Sarawak, you will find new adventures you will find new romanticism. You will find surprises. Okay, I just go to some of the interesting places with you. Okay, for instance, Tanjung Datuk National Park, Talang Sadang National Park. Okay, Talang Sadang National Park has a very good diving ground. It's one of the best diving ground in the world. Okay, this is internationally recognized as one of the best diving places in the world. Okay, Sarawak has a lot of national park. Gunung Gading National Park. Okay, so Kuba National Park. So all those that you saw just now are in the vicinity of Kuching city, where I am now. And you can see that just nearby the city, already are so many national parks. Semenggok Nature Reserve. This one, you can find big orangutan. His name is called Richie. Big orangutan. And he got a whole family staying there. A lot of Westerners coming all the way to Kuching just to look at Mr. Richie and visit his family. So this is a very interesting place. And then, of course, our unique culture. Our unique culture, Sarawak, in terms of demography, is very different from West Malaysia. Okay, we have Muslim is less than 30%. So it's one thing is already different. Okay, Christians is 50% or more. So we have a very different, diversified, multiracial society in Sarawak, and all living in harmony. Okay, so in Sarawak, you can come and experience rich, exotic cultures. Some is beyond your imagination. Come here, experience it yourself. Okay, Pago National Park. This is unique in the world. Actually, I was liaising with Singaporean National Geography last time. They are wanting to come to set up some sort like a visiting stopping place in Pago National Park. Why? This is recorded as told by our Pago National Park management, more than 1 million years old. This park is more than 1 million years old. There is a jungle trail inside. You went in. It's a totally different jungle trail. It's totally different. For me, I've experienced a lot of jungle trail in different places. In Sabah, West Malaysia, China, Australia, but this is different. This is very unique. Our culture, Iban Longhouse, unique, totally unique. Okay, next. And our rich local cultures. Cebu, I come from Cebu. Cebu is 400 kilometers from Kuching. I'm now in Kuching, the capital city. Cebu, we call it New Xingfuzhou. There is a very unique Fuzhou culture there. President Xi went there in 80s. 中国的习近平主席80年代去过四湖。Okay, so it's different. Similajau National Park is near Bintulu, near our industrial hub that I mentioned just now, oil and gas center. Near National Cave. Near National Cave is the biggest, is the cave with the biggest, has the biggest I would say what inland case in the world, and they told me inside there you can park, the aeroplanes can fly inside there and can park aeroplanes. And then there is a lot of unique features like wild animals and wild bat. And I was told during evening time, you went there, you see the wild bat flying up. It's a lifetime experience. Lambia Hills National Park. This is in Miri. As I said, so many national parks, all places are interesting in Sarawak. Okay. Barrier Highlands. Barrier Highlands is highland area. This one is near, not far from Sabah. All right, near to Sabah border. And this is unique. You have to go there and experience yourself. All right. Okay. These are the 20 highlights that was put here. There are actually a lot more interesting places in Sarawak. But then we do not have the great connectivity like KK. Before pandemic, Kuching is connected to of course, certain cities in Malaysia, and Brunei, and Pontianak, and Singapore. That's all. So we do not have great connectivity as like KK. But I think after the post-pandemic, people are saying that there will be a surge in these tourism spendings. There will be a lot of tourists coming to Sabah. I think Sarawak can complement Sabah in this. And I hope in Sarawak in future to come, as like our government is planning more connectivities to Sarawak. For now, you Malaysian, come and visit Sarawak.
Yes, West Malaysia
Dominic,
can have a very good holiday there.
Yes.
The Muru Cave is very outstanding.
It's outstanding.
Very outstanding.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Chua.
Just very outstanding because I've been there twice. I think it's really good.
Yes.
And then because you are close to Singapore, only 1.5 hours to Kuching, so the Connectivity International, you can promote Singapore to Kuching.
Yes. Yes.
So that one, I think it should be all right for Kuching.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. But we're closer to China, Hong Kong and China and Korea. That's where we have the advantage. Closer 2.5 hours from Hong Kong, 2 hours from Shenzhen, Guangzhou. That is actually our advantage because we are going towards north. But the south, you can, from Singapore, you can actually, Singapore, a lot of flight going down. By November 25th, they open the sky already,
Yes.
to Singapore.
Yes.
Yeah, so I think it's very vibrant in Singapore.
Actually, Sarawak government always wanting to attract more tourists and also investment from Singapore. So we have set out some sort of like trade promotion office in Singapore. We call it Status. All right. So I think that office was set out in 2019. Okay. I think after post-pandemic, more efforts will be put into this. I think we will be attracting more Singaporean tourists coming to Sarawak because it's quite a short distance away. All right. And I believe in post-pandemic, Sarawak and Sabah hand in hand can together promote more tourism to Malaysia.
Yes, yes. And then Mr. He, your tourism head, he actually recently in 2020 promote the Sarawak MN2H in Singapore in the office they mentioned.
Yes.
Patos. Yeah, they are Patos. So that one actually would be very good as a platform to promote tourism in Singapore.
Yes, yes,
yeah,
yes.
Yeah.
So we are very honored to have Mr. Dominic, who actually featured in the same talk with Mr. He in Status.
Yes, certainly.
Yes. So, but let me ask you a questions from the crowd. Okay, from the attendee. They have a question. They now maybe some of them are feeling that wow, it's so worthwhile visiting Sabah and Sarawak for holiday now. But as local flights ticket to Sabah and Sarawak is quite expensive now, of which they may stop some number of tourists to visit Sabah and Sarawak. Any future plans by the state government for this issue, or how do you see that? Dr. Chua, I pose this question to you first, because Sabah has a big portion of tourism income. Okay. What is the ticket price now, as far as you know?
Actually, if you look at KL and Sabah flight, I think when you say about KL to Sabah flight, there are also flight direct to Sandakan and Tawau, not just KK. I'm talking about AirAsia because Mars is not so efficient now because they have internet issue. Okay, now we talk about AirAsia. Used to be there's a lot of direct flight from KL to Tawau, whereby they looking at the Pulau Sipatan. You know, a lot of the beaches there is very nice. And then Sandakan, they are looking at some Turtle Island, and some are looking at this Sipol side. Yeah? Okay. And then for KK, their main city attraction is Mount Kinabalu, and then later there's another flight going down to Sembona and come back. So these are the vibrant airport that actually serving the whole Malaysia, okay, direct flight. Now, in terms of flight, you can go down, if I'm not mistaken, you can even buy less than $400 ticket from KL to Sabah. It depends on which sectors. So I think it's still okay, $800 to and fro, I think it's all right. But I think in times to come, they used to be, you get lucky, you get one way 99 ringgit for AirAsia. So if the flight is more, I don't think airfare is a question. It's only that now overseas flight from Guangzhou to KL is actually a lot expensive, 5,000, 7,000. International flight. Domestically, should not be any question on the airfare. The only feature to come moving forward. It's no question asked on this airfare. Yeah.
Mr. Dominic, when I fly to Sarawak last month, I'm very fortunate to only pay about 600 ringgit, 500, less than 600 ringgit for a return flight in Malaysia Airlines. Okay. So I was told that a lot of others paid more than 1,000 return.
Yes.
Some even close to 2,000 ringgit.
Yes.
But is that the same situation now? With the state government election coming soon, I think the demand is higher as well, right?
Okay. Currently, as far as I know, most of the time, air ticket prices between Kuching and KL is high currently. We can understand that because of there are more restrictions in terms of safety protection and so on in the aeroplanes and so on. And then they cannot have those frequency of the flights. Okay. But certainly, as far as Sarawak concerned, I think we lack in connectivities. All right. We are not connected to enough cities outside Malaysia. Okay. But I believe in Malaysia, before COVID, we are connected to most of the major cities in Malaysia. Okay. I will say if air traveling can return to normalcy, hopefully can return to normalcy, and post-COVID time era do arrive, I believe the air ticket prices will drop. Okay. And certainly, I think Sarawak government already has some planning to increase the connectivity. And also, they are trying to promote Sarawak as a tourist attraction. So we hope that in future, more fruits can be bear in this direction. And then we can have people coming to Sarawak can have a cheaper ways of coming. Yeah.
Okay, but just a bit of sharing. The flight that was on, both ways, 100% occupied. So there's every single seat is occupied. Okay, so it just shows that the demand is so much, and I believe the supply and demand situation will encourage the airlines to increase more flights. After all, they have more money to be made. And then eventually this will back to normal. Okay, at a certain stage.
Yes.
But having said that, like what Mr. Dominic mentioned just now, I think Sarawak state government is trying to attract a lot more foreigners, be it foreign tourists or foreign investors. Like you mentioned just now about status, and now you mentioned about the more connectivity to international destinations. So I think this is a very interesting questions. I don't see in other panel discussions throughout these 2 days. Is Malaysian government doing more to attract foreign direct investment? Okay, so let's say if we don't see that much effort from the federal government, what additional effort has Sabah or Sarawak government put in place? I'd like to start with Dr. Chua first. Is there any policy to attract foreign direct investment into Sabah?
Okay. From the point of Syarikat, we actually promoted 3 to stimulate the economy. One is the Sabah My PR Home, which is not it is something like migration, but it's not, they cannot allow to vote. It's a PR scheme. That's number 1. Number 2, we also promote our own Sabah AM2H. Number 3, we try to bring down the foreign threshold from 1 million down to 600,000. Okay, we try for the last 6 months. Number 3, to lower down 1 million to 600,000. Basically, this would stimulate the economy very fast, because a lot of Chinese, they want to buy in Malaysia because of the restriction bringing money out from their countries. I think 1 year they only allowed to buy get out 50,000 US. Okay, and then we're also talking to the bank, foreign bank, especially Maybank, the largest bank in Malaysia, or even RHB and some of the banks. If the credibility of the individual Chinese is very good from their countries, they are willing to extend 50% of the loan. If you buy, let's say, give an example, 1 million. Then they come out with 500,000. Okay. Now, today we just have concluded a meeting with our government, and then now they want to actually start to reduce threshold 1 million to 600,000. So now any of the foreigner want to buy property from Sabah, they only have to identify a property, whether it's commercial suite. The commercial definition must have a residential usage now, or residential apartment. So long as high rise, 60,000 they can buy. It's a good news. It's good. Yeah. It's a very good news.
Yeah, I just know about that when Dr. Choi came into the room today. So it's effective in 2022?
Today, yeah.
So they make the decision today and effective immediately?
Effective today, immediately.
I see.
Yeah. It's a good news. Then we have to prepare all these things to inform our members that if they allocated anything more than 600,000, they can set the agent to start to sell, market and sell 600,000. Of course, with condition. The condition will be they must be above 600,000 and be below 1 million. Okay? And then they can only buy 1 unit. If your husband and wife buy 1 unit, it's okay too. So these are the moving forward, which is can kickstart the economic in Sabah. So because that property investment affect 142 industries throughout the sectors. You have piling, you have KTV, restaurant, all these is underneath. So you get extra foreign money coming in to stimulate the economy. It's a very good way of doing things at the moment, especially this challenging time. So I think the government make a right decision.
Okay, thanks to the initiative by Sharada as well. So moving on to Sharada, Mr. Dominic Su, you are the chairman for SMM2H committee in Sharada. Okay, so I'd like to hear from you. What initiative, what policy has Sarawak government put in place to try to attract more foreign investment, especially towards this investment migration as well as real estate?
Okay, I think first of all, I would like to say congratulations to Dr. Chua. Okay, we are never as lucky in terms of attracting foreign properties buyers to Sarawak, or let's say to the city where I'm in, Kuching, the capital city. We have that many of foreign properties buyers in Kuching or in Sarawak. Okay, but our government has always wanting to attract more foreign direct investment into Sarawak. Certainly, as a Sarawakian, I would like federal government to do more to promote Sarawak as well. I'm not saying federal government is not doing promotion for Sarawak. I hope federal government can do more. Sarawak government is always taking extra initiative to attract FDI direct into Sarawak. Okay, I will share about general FDI first. Okay, our state government has drawn out a post-COVID 2030 development strategy. Okay, as you can all see from this chart here, all right, our state government has recognized 6 sectors to be the main economic driver, which are manufacturing, modern agriculture, tourism, forestry, mining, and services. This will be done through some enablers in digital transformation, innovation, education and human capitals, basic infrastructure, utilities, transport, and renewable energy. So these are our state government current planning post-COVID in attracting more FDI in Sarawak. Okay, talking about this investment of foreign properties investment in Sarawak. Sarawak always welcome foreign properties investments. Okay, so our restriction for foreign property investment has always been less. So for any residential properties, be it landed properties or apartments, provided the pricing is between 550,000 to 600,000, depends on which city foreigners can buy and own the properties. Okay, so in this case, we have one of the most open policy to attract foreign properties buyers in Malaysia. Okay, talking about SHIDA initiative in SMN2H, Sarawak, Malaysia, my second home. Okay, we have been, SHIDA has been working on SMN2H for last 3-4 years. So we actually propose changes to our state government, and our state government has adopted a lot of our proposed changes, which we propose especially in 2019 and 2020. And this result in, at the end of 2020, our state government has eased a lot of measures, including age limit. Last time, only those above 50 can apply. So now, depends on which criteria. So those above 40 can also apply. And those below 40, if they are coming here for children education, for medicals, they can also apply. Okay. And there are a lot of easing of our MN2H conditions in Sarawak now, which I'm not going to elaborate here. Okay. But certainly, I will say more foreigners coming here as a property man is good for my properties. There will be more demands, all right? More buyers, more investments. So we look forward to that. And I believe Sarawak and Sabah can work together on this.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Certainly, yes.
Yeah. Certainly.
Yeah.
Okay, being a West Malaysian, I would say, wow, there are not many West Malaysian states have the initiative to implement this type of measures to try to attract foreign property investors. Okay, in certain states in Malaysia, I think the threshold for foreigners to buy property may be as high as 2 million ringgit. Okay, yeah, and some of them are not allowed to buy for some properties. So I think adopting such a foreign investment friendly policy, be it in MM2H or in the property acquisitions, actually opens up a lot of opportunities. And I can see that from what Dato Chua mentioned just now, that you have a meeting today with the state government and they make a decision immediately to implement a change that is favorable to attract foreign investment. That is wonderful. And for what Mr. Dominic mentioned just now about the post-COVID development strategy 2030, okay, I think a lot of people, especially those from West Malaysia, would like to know what is the plan. And this is a 10-year plan. Okay, formulated by the Sarawak government, of which if you really want to know, you can download directly from the Sarawak State Government website by just scanning this QR code. Okay, so anyone interested, you can just scan it. And if you want the link, I'll ask our backend to actually post a link in the group as well. Anyone interested for that? But okay,
maybe I can say a little bit more about the overall objective of this development strategy. Okay,
sure, please.
Okay, first, Sarawak wants to achieve developed state status by 2030. First thing. Number two, Sarawak wants to see our GDP grow by, now it's 136 billion, I think, to 280 billion by 2030. In order to do that, Sarawak has to have a growth of 8% every year. Okay, so I believe with this, there will be a lot of opportunities in Sarawak. Welcome to Sarawak. Dr. Chua, come here and invest as well.
Yes, I will do.
Thank you.
Because Sarawak is a state, it's the lowest, 500,000 or 600,000. You can buy landed and whatnot. I wish to buy some landed.
Yeah,
so
please.
you have to induce some of the longhouse native for me because I will turn into native landowner. If I marry a longhouse native owner, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for both Dato Chua and Mr. Dominic Su for this enlightenment about the opportunities. I think if we can invest in an economy that projected for the next 10 years going to be more than 8% growth, okay, why should we go to Vietnam to invest? Okay, yes. Stay in Malaysia, of which we are at least familiar with the law. We are familiar with the the government working, how the government works. So this is an opportunity for West Malaysian as well. But okay, let me ask a few questions from the audience as well. Okay, there's one particular question from the audience asking, may I know, without farming, tourism industry, Sabah and Sarawak will have what type of economic future or industrial trend, or even the career opportunities for the local, the employment opportunities. How's the working conditions for normal workers or businesses? Is it going to be just benefiting the state enterprises, the big corporations? What is it in it for SMEs or even the individual employee? Okay, I'll start with Mr. Dominic Su first. What is your take on this?
Okay, besides farming and tourism, right? Besides agriculture and tourism, right? Okay, Sarawak is rich in resources, right? So, as I said just now, we have the biggest land mass in Malaysia as a state. We have, I would say, the richest resources in Malaysia. So, as Dr. Chua just now, East Malaysia, and I think Sarawak, we have huge reserve in oil and gas. Doesn't matter what Bill Gates said, that is 30 years time, right? But I would say for next 10 years or 20 years, there are a hell lot of opportunities in oil and gas sectors. And also with Sarawak, we set out a state version of oil and gas consortium, state-owned, called Petros. They have a lot of big plannings, right? So all I want to say is that Sarawak have big planning in oil and gas. There are a lot of opportunities. Okay, then we talk about renewable energy, right? Sarawak has already developed and made some milestone efforts in renewable energy. That's why our energy is cheaper. And our cheaper energy has attracted a lot of industrialists coming here. I will say some big names, but in Bintulu, there are a lot of big names. They're talking about billions of investment, all right? Okay, there are already some big names coming. I don't want to misquote here, so you can do the research yourself, right? So there are a hell lot of opportunities in this. I believe that with this thriving manufacturing and commodities production and all this in this area, and as well as I say just now, the post-COVID, the engine economic sectors that we have recognized, the Sarawak state government have recognized, that will mean that we are thriving economic activities. So that will mean a hell lot of opportunities for SME. So a lot of career prospect there, right? That's what I am thinking, Vincent.
Okay, Dr. Chua, anything to add on from Sabah perspective?
Okay, the next 10, 20 years, oil and gas still dominate the economic for Sabah and Sarawak. The only thing is basically is we have yet to go downstream. Sarawak has gone downstream, and then we yet to go downstream. And then some of the gas that we extracted go down to Bintulu. So there's a plan for us to go downstream, the gas go downstream in Sabah. So they yet to formalize. Whatever it is, the oil and gas will dominate Sabah and Sarawak, same as a plantation. Oil and gas is not a small industry, only the big ones survive. And whereas land-based plantation, you can have 50 acre, 500, they're small and medium-sized SME still can do it. But oil and gas are different, you know, Petronas, there are a lot of restrictions for you to go in. So, but how to actually find talent for them to long stay here? This is another word. You have Putrajaya AM2H. The same thing you have also Sarawak AM2H. Sabah wanted to create some Sabah AM2H. We're drafting the thing, and then we actually briefed the government, whether it's state government or federal government agency. We have done that. And now we are waiting another meeting next week to further into details. Then the cabinet paper will be produced, okay, ready to present to the cabinet. Whatever it is, the Sabah AM2H will be the tool for economic recovery during this challenging time. Because you see the oil gas industry attract a lot of talent from overseas because very specialized. Those people with high salary coming in to make so much money, if I ask them to have social pass 10 years here, instead of year-to-year renewal of their work pass, this is a way forward, you know. If they actually make money from here, why don't they invest in Sabah? So these are the way forward. The same thing, we will also welcome Korean, Japanese, Hong Kong, or even Taiwan or China or European to come in. Because now Putrajaya are giving a tough condition to the existing and the new applicant. So Sabah, Sarawak, if it can combine the effort to make it workable, so this one will actually, the effort will be a joint effort, will become a win-win situation for Sabah, Sarawak to offer alternative way to attract people. Instead of lure them away from Malaysia, please reconsider Sabah, Sarawak for the AM2H. Okay, Vincent, thank you very much.
Thank you. So I have another question from the audience. Okay, this is interesting because it actually ties up with our neighbor, Indonesia. The question is, understand that Indonesia capital will be moving to Borneo Island, the Kalimantan side of Borneo Island. Okay, so how would the panelists see the future growth and business potential for both Sabah and Sarawak? Okay, Dr. Chua would like to enlighten us on this.
Lima, can you give me the map of the Kalimantan where it is? For the benefit of those who doesn't know where the new Indonesia capital is actually Samarinda, okay, eastern of Kalimantan. Kalimantan make up of basically 4 countries. One is Brunei, which is just next to KK, Brunei, and then Sarawak, Sabah, Sarawak is Malaysia lah. Then Brunei is Brunei as a country, and then Kalimantan is part of Indonesia. Three countries, sorry, 3. So if you look at the overall Kalimantan, is actually huge. You just look at the size of Sarawak and Sabah combined together, forming 59% of Malaysia. Then the Kalimantan is really huge. Next to it, opposite is Sulawesi lah. Also a big island for Indonesia. So Indonesia is a big land they have, and also their population in the region of, I think it's 300 million. Okay, so for this, Sabah actually recently embarked on the adjoining town border. So for Tawau, you see their nearest town is Serudong. All these border towns, they will try to using state budget to get the activity going on all the border town with especially Brunei and then also to Indonesia. And then the road that they're coming in from eastern Kalimantan, they're actually quite close linked to Tawau region, because they actually come in a big capital, they are dual carriageway, and Tawau, Serundong going to the borderline, we are still gravel road, we are still lagging behind. But I will show you how the Pan-Borneo overall plan from Kuching down to Tawau. Okay, not this, later, I have not finished yet. This we will see from Kuching, Pan-Borneo, we talk about Pan-Borneo, link to KK, link to Sandakan to Tawau. And if this one linked to Kalimantan, then you can see the whole thing linked. All the Borneo Island has been linked. Of course, if it link, it must be 4-lane and dual carriageway. In future, could be a train going down, high-speed train. That will actually link the whole Borneo. Okay. If the new capital there, we're actually giving Lahadatu, to go back to the last one, Lim. You can see the POIC is a deep port. The last one, yeah. You can see Lahadatu POIC is a big port, is a very deep port for transshipment. In other words, if the new capital city in Samarinda, the next 5 to 10 years, if they do it, then the transshipment of the goods can utilize the POIC port in the Lahadatu. Lahadatu is very close to Zamboanga. Zamboanga is southern Philippines. So all in all, you talk about Biak Niaga, this region is huge, with a huge potential. Biak Niaga talk about Brunei, Indonesia, Philippines, all this area in this region. Okay, So this one will be coming in next time, next 5 to 10 years. This Celebes C, they will be very busy with all this shipment. At the moment, the shipment coming across here is not so active. When the capital moving to Samarinda, all this transshipment will be very, very busy. Okay, to Philippines, to Lahata, to Tawau region. Okay, this will be very busy. This is actually I want to share. And of course, later I will share the Brunei Bridge in a minute, but we'll talk about Kalimantan first. Thank you, Vincent.
Thank you. Mr. Dominic, do you have anything to add on this?
Okay. Certainly this Samarinda, the shifting of Indonesian capital Samarinda will benefit East Malaysia tremendously. It will benefit Sabah and will benefit Sarawak. Currently, Kalimantan, the whole Kalimantan, okay, the Indonesian part of Borneo Islands, the population is near to 20 million. So there's a huge population. And when the capital is moved to Samarinda, I went to Samarinda in 2019, okay, on a business trip. So I was briefed by the Indonesian government, okay. So there was a plan to increase the population of the capital city gradually to 10 million. So that means Kalimantan population will go up to almost 30 million, Malaysia population. Okay, so you can imagine when a population of that size next to East Malaysia, that means opportunities. For businessmen, I would say opportunities. For property developers, a lot of houses. Okay, that's what I'm thinking, all right? And in terms of, I would say the Pan-Borneo Highway, so I think some of you can imagine how will West Malaysia be if there is no plus. If there is no plus, right? So what has plus done to West Malaysia to change from Johor up to Police? They have changed to connect the place. So next time I can drive to KK to visit Dato Chua. Now it's a nightmare. I will not do it. But next time I can do it. All right. Yeah. So opportunities in East Malaysia. Come.
Okay. And I think a lot of people hear about that. And that's why there's another question. Wow, they hear so much about how the state government attract foreign investors. But does Sabah and Sarawak has any policy in the future to attract local commercial activities instead of foreign investment? Okay, any goodies for West Malaysians? Or perhaps what is your take on this? How would it, what is the benefit of West Malaysian participating in this group? Dr. Chua?
Actually, we have very advanced downstream for palm oil. Okay, we have the very big center downstream of POIC. Just now I show you the port. That is a port together with the downstream of POIC, palm oil downstream. As well as we also have downstream for oil and gas in Sipitang. That's why, but that one is not, most of the gas now pumping to Bintulu. In future, they will pump all these things, the gas, to produce electricity and whatnot in Sipitang itself. We have not touched on that there. They are actually doing it. And recently, they actually get a Korean, what they call it, doing batteries, manufacturer to buy 100 acres in KKIP to do batteries. You know that just now, the richest man in Hong Kong now is not Lee Ka-seng, is doing batteries. So these are the things that going on. Doing battery for iPhone. The BYD mentioned that by just now, Dominic is talking about BYD is actually competition with Foxconn. Foxconn basically is doing a lot of this iPhone. They are actually doing it for a China company and also with iPhone, BYD. So they are actually going into phone, they're going to battery, they're going into cars. BYD is very famous for cars. They're going to build electrical cars as well. All these are going forward. Even our budget 22, they are talking about encouraging people to buy trickle car. For those CKD or CBU, for those imported one, they actually give 52% on the imported tax and sale tax. So Sabah, the Malaysian government are going towards this. Why? Because of the renewable energy and whatnot. This is going toward. I wanted to appeal to the Malaysian government, have an incentive, get Malaysia to build solar. You know, solar, perhaps you can get China to come in with the raw material and whatnot. We do resample here, reassembly plant. The same thing we can do reassembly plant for vehicle over in Malaysia. Big vehicle, truck, four-wheel drive, or even motorbike. So that will get part of the knowledge base, economic, will be in Malaysia, so that we will not lose out the business competitive in terms of competition, losing out to overseas. Because moving forward, we must encourage Malaysia to do it, and then so that we'll be exiled internationally, rather we are leaving behind. I'm sure Dominic actually have the vision to start with the hydrogen, which is one of the renewable energy, but the success rate, it depends on your persistence, because there's a lot of effort and money putting into it. It's not so easy. Because R&D is very expensive nowadays. So I'm sure you already calculated the risk. You must have talent into it before you embark into it. So I congratulate Dominic together with the Sarawak government to go into this renewable energy, which is the knowledge-based industries. Thank you.
Mr. Dominic.
Thank you, Dr. Chua. Yes, Vincent?
Okay, you have anything to add on that?
Okay. Whether we have we want West Malaysian investment, of course, we are all Malaysians, so we want Malaysian investment. I think Malaysian investment is more welcome than foreign investment. Okay, 21 covenants aside for Sarawak, a lot of our activities here are under under federal ministries, right? So if you are West Malaysians, a lot of our commercial activities controlled by various federal ministries, the headquarters. Yes, the headquarters are in Putrajaya. So you have the access, right? Okay, and then in our post-COVID 2030, we actually have one objective in that equal and good opportunities for all Sarawakians to take part in the growth of Sarawak. The objective that I mentioned, doubling our GDP from 136 billion to 280 billion and achieving 8% growth per year. All right. So we want this to be available to all Sarawakians. Okay. And as I say, a lot of our activities, the headquarters are in KL, are in Putrajaya. So of course, for West Malaysia investment are most welcome and necessary.
Okay, I think this is a topic that a lot of our audience find it very interesting, very interested. So about the SMM2H, I think we'll put it to the last. But as a follow-up on these questions, I think Wong Sui Ting has actually asked two questions. One is what type of investment, what kind of investment that Sarawak and Sabah will welcome more investment, be it from foreign sources or from domestic sources. And on top of that, will the investor easily get the talents to work for them? That means the local employee easily to fulfill the professional requirement of all this industry. Okay, Mr. Dominic, you have perhaps you can enlighten us on this.
Okay.
So one is investment, the other one is job, actually. Whether you can easily find this type of jobs or that have the right talent to fill it in Sarawak.
Okay. I will say as Sarawak welcome all form of investment, provided it's legal and it's beneficial to Sarawak. Okay, but I will say the focus is more on our 2030 post-COVID development strategy. the 6 sectors, which is in manufacturing, modern agriculture, tourism, forestry, mining, and services. I think this will be the sectors which is especially promoted by our state government. So I would say there are more opportunities in these 6 sectors, but certainly I would say all type of good investment, Sarawak will welcome. Okay, then talking about MN2H.
I think we'll answer that later, but how about job? Is there, can West Malaysia work in Sarawak?
Oh yes, certainly, but of course have to get a work permit. But as far as I know, there isn't much restriction.
Okay, so even if there's no such talent in Sarawak, a suitable talent from West Malaysia can actually fill the void by just getting a work permit from Sarawak State immigration, right?
Certainly, not a problem.
Okay.
Yes.
Is that the same case in Sabah, Dr. Chua?
You see, we have a lot of talent because tourism here is very strong. Hotel line here very strong. You can see some of the KL hotel workers, whether reception and whatnot, are actually Sabahan. We have a lot of skilled workers that are working in hotel line that graduated from Sabah and working in KL or even Johor Bahru, or even in Hong Kong. A lot of skilled workers. Depends on what sectors. If it's industrial, maybe certain downstream like oil and gas, maybe we need to upskill our talent. Plantation, there are plenty of workers. You know, we also get unskilled labor from Indonesia to come out to do harvesting and whatnot. But all these things, it depends on which skilled labor you're talking about. If it's battery, we know nothing about battery, then it's very difficult. But as I said, that if it's West Malaysia come in, or even Korean coming in, the all required from Sabah is a work permit. Okay,
I see.
Yeah.
So something to add on to this, because the way I observe is that Sabah and Sarawak is coming off a very low base value. Okay, be it the GDP size or be it the population. You can evidence from the shifting of capital of Indonesia, the whole Borneo Island, including Kalimantan of Indonesia, will have a boom in populations. Okay, a sudden hike in number of population staying in this island itself. And the state government is also receiving more income from oil and gas taxes, as well as, let's say, other communities taxes. So it provide them with more budget for these infrastructure projects, as evident from the Pan-Borneo Highway, which is as significant as North-South Highway constructed by PLUS that connects Singapore all the way to Thailand. Okay, so this is all the key drivers of the East Malaysian economy that can actually have a very serious effect for the next 10 years. Okay, not the next 20 years. So being a West Malaysian, when I go there, I can see that actually, yes, it's not as well developed as some cities in West Malaysia, especially if you compare to Kuala Lumpur or even like Johor or Penang. But the potential of growth is there. And the amount of fund to be funneled into the economy will be much, percentage-wise, will be much higher than what it can be done in West Malaysia because they're coming off from a very low base value. Okay, so let me ask one question more before we touch the question about the SMM2H. Okay, is it possible for non-Bumi from West Malaysia to buy a house or to own a house and settle down with kids under schooling age in Kuching or Kota Kinabalu, besides doing business there? Okay, I'll start with Dr. Chua first. Is it possible?
Sabah is actually having an open policy. I remember 20 years ago when I did my master degree, a West Malaysian guy never been to Sabah. They asked me whether I live on the tree. So that explains everything. So sometimes it's very difficult to imagine, to describe within Malaysia. They still have this thing of East Malaysia are very primitive. Okay, but nevertheless, it's jokes. Jokes aside, what I'm saying is now basically is Sabah and Sarawak transform into different things because we have resources The whole Kalimantan has resources, including Kalimantan. There are so many gold mining, there's so many copper mining, there's so many forestry. The whole Borneo Island, I think top 3, the biggest island is one of these Borneo Island. If you actually go and do the research, the biggest one of the top 3 biggest one. If you actually group Sabah, Sarawak, and Kalimantan together, it's a huge island, plenty of resources. You name it, we have it. Okay, it's just that they are not tapped yet. Okay, of course, Sabah, Sarawak, over the years, the last 30 years, we talk about logging and whatnot. Now, actually, going to downstream already. So what I'm saying is, in that context, we can still on resource base. The second is we have to moving towards knowledge base. Okay, knowledge base basically is we have to upskill our laborer, not upskill our workers. Okay, because we need to be competitive to the world, not just West Malaysia. We have to compete to the world. We need to upgrade our smart people. They are not living up to 3, you know. They are now much more advanced than people think we are. But with this, we need cooperation from private sector and the government, especially federal government budget and policy. Okay, to encourage people to upskill, to allow double taxation. Let's say within my company, my property, if I want, now we are starting a property developer course. Okay, in Sabah, in Syarikat, we are moving that first in the country to do lower and base entry for SPM to come in. This is upskill knowledge. If we can do that for all the industries, all this upskill knowledge will be shared among all the industries. And then Sabah can compete internationally. Not just West Malaysia, we can compete internationally. That's why I think we had to move away from the resource base into knowledge base. And then this resources base basically will bring in income, but upskill our knowledge. This is very critical for Sabah and Sarawak. Okay, thank you, Vincent.
Thank you. Mr. Dominic, what is your take on Sarawak side? Can the children study there at the same time doing a business there?
Certainly. You're talking about West Malaysians, right? Certainly.
Yes, that's right.
Certainly. Okay.
So they enjoy the same welfare as the East Malaysian?
Yes. Okay. For West Malaysian coming here to work, as I say, or doing business, they need a work permit. But as far as I know, there is not much restriction to get such a work permit, provided the business is legitimate. Okay. So there is not much restriction for West Malaysian coming here, get work permit, bringing his family here, and children studying here. So of course, we have, as Sarawak, have independent immigration control. There are certain immigration control that the West Malaysian has gone through. But my knowledge is this: if the intention is genuine, is coming here for genuine, there is no such problems, right? All this can be obtained and can be arranged. Okay.
Okay. Then I have one Sarawak MM2H question here. Okay, from JD. If I'm currently a West Malaysia MM2H holder, can I apply for Sarawak MM2H, or do I need to cancel my West Malaysia MM2H before applying for Sarawak MM2H? Is there any requirement to switch to Sarawak MM2H, and is the application procedure the same? Mr. Dominic, do you want to have your opinion on this?
Okay. To be frank, I'm not familiar with the application procedures of MN2H in West Malaysia, but my understanding is that the conditions and the restrictions are different. All right, and Sarawak is now currently, according to the expert, Sarawak is now more friendly to MN2H holders. We call it SMN2H holders in Sarawak. We are more friendly now. We have more open conditions. That is before Sabah catch up with the final approval. Okay. Currently, we have more open conditions. Okay. All MN2H holders, whether they're currently West Malaysia MN2H holders, you are welcome to apply here. That is my knowledge.
Okay, perhaps I add a bit on this issue because it involves immigration authority and similar situation will arise in Sabah. Okay, first of all, you are not allowed to hold more than one visa or pass in Malaysia.
Yes.
Okay, so at any one time you can only hold one. Okay, whether you need to cancel your existing MM2H visa before you're allowed to apply for the other will depends on when your existing visa expires. Okay, if it's going to expire 1 year from now, you have to do the cancellations. But if the whole term of 10 years is going to expire, let's say in 2 months' time, okay, then potentially you can launch an application for Sarawak MM2H or for that aspect, a Sabah MM2H, while waiting for the approval, still staying under the West Malaysia MM2H. The process and procedure and the requirement are all different. Okay, so you have to consult the professional on that. You can always go to our virtual booth, okay, in the expo area. Then we have a team to actually give you a proper consultation and answer on that. Okay, so I think we are almost done. We have only less than 8 minutes left. Okay, so I have potentially just one to two more questions from the crowd. Then I'll actually hope that our speakers of the day can actually wrap up and give a bit of final words on what the investors should look forward to for the opportunities in East Malaysia. Okay, second last question. This working in Singapore from Chris, he is now in Singapore. He knows that it's going to be very difficult for him to retire in Singapore. Okay, then so actually Sarawak and Sabah seems to be a more livable and suitable place for Singaporean to retire in or even to run small business. Okay, so at this aspect, do you see a lot of Singaporeans moving to Sabah, Dr. Chua?
I think before this perspective of Sabah formulation of AM2H, why don't you try Sarawak? But nevertheless, if you want to, you like Sabah, you wait for 1 or 2 months, we'll give you the answer. Okay. But nevertheless, a lot of Singaporean, even for Hong Kong, northern base, they like to come over the weekend, stay, play golf, have seafood, and go back. They found out that when they go in Hong Kong and eat seafood, including ticket, whatnot, it's actually worthwhile stay in KK, you know, because the flight from Hong Kong coming here is less than 1,000 ringgit. Yeah, for all this seafood, it's very expensive. Very fresh over here, they can eat 3 nights of seafood over in KK. So these are the take that I'm referring for Hong Kong. But Singapore, if you come to over here, basically you still can, it's only 2-hour flight from KK to Singapore, or even lesser if you go to Sarawak, 1.5 hours. So basically it's livable, both cities is livable.
Okay. Mr. Dominic Su, you have direct flight from Kuching to Singapore, and it's a nearer destinations, 1.5 hours, right? So is there a lot of Singaporeans?
As I said just now, we actually do not attract that many foreigners. So far, we have not been attracting a lot of foreigners coming here, even though we welcome foreigners. I think perhaps one of the reasons is connectivity. But as I say, with a more open, welcoming MM2H policies, and also Kuching and Sarawak is relatively cheaper in terms of our cost of living is relatively cheaper, and also because we share a lot of similarity with Singapore, so we also have a colonial past, okay, and actually a lot of food that we have in Sarawak is quite similar to Singapore, okay, and Hokkien is quite widely spoken here as well. All right, so I think we have a lot of similarities. Okay, definitely Sarawak welcome Singaporeans to apply SMN2H, and we welcome more Singaporeans coming here for retirements. Okay, on the questions whether can run small business, SMN2H is more for retirement, all right, or as a second home. It's not so much for coming here to do business, but of course you're welcome to do investment. Okay, if you really want to come here and do small business, I would say you go and get a work permit. Okay.
Basically, if you are really a business investor, okay, if your business qualifies to a certain threshold, then you are allowed to actually apply for employment pass for the managerial post or even the owner themselves. Okay, so this is something that all potential foreigners who are thinking of doing business in Sabah and Sarawak can consider. Okay, I think we are almost time. I would like Dato' Chua to invite Dato' Chua to say a few words for to actually conclude today's sessions. Dato' Chua, off to you.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, basically today we are talking about the main topic about the opportunity of East Malaysia. We should look at two texts. One, basically, we look at whether there's an opportunity for you to make business here, or the other one is actually for you to have holiday here. So the second one, I will actually take it for holiday. Basically, there are a lot of places you can go. And then for tourism, because this is eco-tourism, Sabah is always talk about eco-tourism. We do not have mass tourism as such that just like shopping, all this, we do not have big shopping center. We have only Imago and Suria, which is outstanding. The rest, we do have 20 shopping center like in Klang Valley. So if you talk about tourism, you need, Nan Tian Bai Yun lah. You need blue sky. You have really, you can actually go to the ocean now, South China Sea, take a boat ride. You just, the sea is just surrounding you. You can hear the seabird. You can actually, you can fish. You can do everything. The whole world belongs to you. This is the effect you are getting, the eco-tourism, not the mass tourism that we're talking about. That you're going to the Genting, the people, a lot of, going to the amusement park. No, Sabah is good for eco-tourism. Okay, number two. Number one, there are many opportunities for resource base. Okay, direct, like used to be timber. Now you're actually going into, you want to speculate on development. You can buy property and sell property. If you want to talk about, do a small business, it's a plenty full, but I encourage you to do more knowledge base. This one, basically, this is what we require now at the moment. If you actually want to do some kind of business like IT, where we are lacking of IT skill talent here, this is a way you can go in. And if you like to do some furniture, it can be done. There are plenty of timber we cannot export. You can utilize the timber resources here to go downstream. If you like to do biodiesel, you can do that. There are plenty of palm oil here. You can go in downstream. If you like to do oil and gas downstream, you can come in to do it like petroleum byproduct. All this you can do it in Sabah. There are plenty of opportunities, but on the right industries. Thank you, Vincent.
Thank you, Dato' Chua, for such an enlightened sessions. And I can see that a lot of the audience actually feel that you have actually shared with them very insightful knowledge about Sabah. The same with Mr. Dominic. So I'd like you to say a few words about to the crowd about Sarawak. Off to you.
Okay, Sarawak with a population of 2.8 million people and almost as big as West Malaysia. So that means big land mass, all in green. So that means tremendous opportunity. Agriculture, there are plenty of land for agriculture. We welcome all forms of agriculture, right? We need more people to come here to do agriculture. We do not have enough farmers going around or enough investment in farming. Our government will come in, all right? We have huge resources, oil and gas, coal, and gold. In Kuching has gold, all right? Okay? There are tremendous opportunities of spin off from all these industries. That means new investments, new people, talented people, engineers. We need all these people, okay? And also, as you can see in our post-COVID 10 years growth plan, we want to double our GDP from 136 billion to 280 billion. That means we need to achieve a growth rate of 8% per year. That means we have to keep our economy very vibrant. So we need a lot of energetic businessmen. We need entrepreneurs. We need investments. We need service industries, right? We need people coming here to improve our standard of living, right? And above all, Sarawak is very multicultural, right? I will say I'm a Christian. Sarawak, we always say we are a Christian country. More than 50% are Christians. Chinese make up almost 26%, right? And a lot of indigenous people, I mean, our biggest race, which is Dayak people or Iban people, and a lot of them can speak Mandarin now, right? That means diversity and multiculturalism is being celebrated, honored in Sarawak. We live in harmonies. Okay, and we are in Borneo. We are in Borneo. And we are next to our great neighbor, Sabah, and we are in one country. Sabah is such a nice place. So many tourists go there before the COVID. And after COVID, I'm sure more tourists will go there. They call it 报复性消费, revenge consumption. I think Sabah will full. You know, before, as my knowledge, before COVID, Sabah has 60,000 tourists. Chinese tourists going to KK 1 month. Maybe after COVID, 1 month, 150,000. So you can imagine those numbers, you know. And we are next to Sabah, our great neighbors. I'm sure they will be spin off. They will find that we have something similar, right? And we are nice also. And Sarawak has tremendous Chinese heritage. The Chinese first came here during Song Dynasty. First came here during Song Dynasty, okay? Right? A British became the king here in 1840. 1840, a British loner coming here with 26 aventurists became the king of Sarawak until Japanese War. Okay? Near to Kuching City, there's a town called Bau, and there was a remnants of Hakka Empire, Kejia Huangchao. So we have history, we have heritage. We are now in Malaysia in diversity. And more than that, we are on Borneo Island. Borneo, as Dato' Chua said, is going to boom. We are the third biggest island in the world. You see, Brunei so rich, right? Actually, whole East Malaysia is rich. Kalimantan is rich in resources. And the capital is going there. And Kalimantan populations go out. And the highway is going to be built. The Pan Borneo will be built. I think Sarawak now is 80% completed. So we have a plus Sarawak style or East Malaysia style. But Kalimantan is going to build a highway also. 2 highways actually. One is coastal and one is internal. Dato' Chua, Kalimantan is a plan to build an inland highway because there's so much resources in inland Kalimantan.
Yes.
All right. And that will open up, I think, more investment into inland Sarawak and inland Sabah.
Yeah.
So we are in an exciting place. Come join us. And above all, you can see nice people like Dato' Chua and me. Thank you.
Very hospitable. And if you go there, you'll find that all are welcome. Okay, there's very good wrap-up by both Mr. Dominic and Dato' Chua. Thank you for such an insightful afternoon that you can share with us about the opportunities in Sabah and Sarawak. But before we end today, I would like to actually let everyone know about the program for this evening. So this is not the last talk, live talk we're going to have. At 5 o'clock, we're going to have the chairman of the Beihai Arbitration International, Beihai Asia International Arbitration Center, Professor Steve Ngor, to share on how arbitrations or mediation can be done in the international context. By the way, actually, Beihai Arbitration Commission was actually one of the biggest arbitration commission in China. So now they have already established this center in Singapore to focus on disputes arising from China, ASEAN regional trade and investments. So anyone interested in doing business or investment between China and ASEAN, should tune in for these 5 o'clock sessions. So after that, at 7:30, we're going to have a series of talk by professionals and associations from the United States of America, in particular from Chicago, and as well as the American group. So there'll be 3 aspects of topic being discussed. One will be the business investment, another part will be property investment, and finally, it will be about this investment migrations into US. Okay, so you can get a green card in US by just investment. So that will wrap up today's live sessions. So stay tuned, even for the evening. Okay, so thank you very much for all my distinguished panelists. We have learned a lot. I've learned a lot being a West Malaysian. And the moment I hear from Mr. Dominic Su that next 10 years you have an economic growth rate of 8%, then I say, okay, actually we should look into more opportunities inwards in Malaysia. Similarly with Sabah. Okay, so thank you very much. And I hope to see both of you again next year in 2023 versions. Okay, and bye-bye everyone. See you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Wow.